And the last segment we're going to be recording, I'm way over here because this is definitely not my story. Gwen is going to be telling some amazing stories about the artifacts in these cases, the things that she's collected, the insane amount of history that is in these cases of the tribe and all of the watering holes, clubs, and spots that she has managed to preserve. Gwen, this is your story.
Hello, I'm Boy Gwen. Some of you will remember me, some of you haven't seen my face because I haven't been out and about in the last few years. But this lady over here created a monster. Of course, it didn't help that I had OCD, which made it matters even worse. But whenever I started collecting, my original fascination was with the back patches, colors, as we call them. And I first started by taking photographs of individuals at the back of their vest where they had the color insignia. And first time I started doing this was at an event called Southeast Leather Fest in Atlanta. It was also the very same time that I first met Vi, but I didn't really know Vi. I mean, I just met her, and Lord did I know that, you know, we'd become great friends and everything and learn so much from each other throughout the years. I do remember Glenda Ryder was at that event that year, and I took one of the pictures of her fist back patch. Other than that, I can't remember who else I took, but I took about 10 or 12. And the fascination grew from there. As I started learning more and more and started collecting, my main source was eBay. Well, those of you that also know me know that I had created a website called Colors of Leather, thus colors from the backpack insignias. That's where the name came from. And a lot of these were shown on there. As I was gathering more and more information, it just kind of blossomed big time. It's massive. But I'm going to start by showing you some of the pins and patches and everything that I was able to save off of eBay and add to my collection. And of all the stuff that I have collected over the years, this to me is the most valuable and everything, monetarily wise and everything. It's a massive collection. You're not going to be able to see a lot of them just because we couldn't get the camera close enough to them. But I am going to point out certain pins and everything and where they came from and so on and so forth. After trying my best to figure out what's the best way to store all these pins, I ran across this cropping style binder. And it's a notebook binder that has got the 3-ring binder. So I went to the craft store and I got the sheets to go in them, and I bought the little foam craft stuff, and I cut it to size to go in here, and I put the pins through here. So that's the plastic protects the next pins and everything. So these are all only on one side. And then as I started organizing them, I added a little key tab to each one of them, because I got like 6 or 7 of these and I could never remember what was in which. So this one is labeled bars. So most of the pins and everything in here are from different bars that have been in existence. And I'm going to be trying to look at this upside down. There's quite a few here, matchbooks and stuff from the Eagles. There's a DC Eagle pin. This one is the Eagle in Washington, D.C. This is the double L bar. I can't read them upside down, I apologize, but some Eagle pins. In Philadelphia, most of you are familiar with the bike stop in Philadelphia, and I got a couple of matchbooks and some pins and everything from the bike stop. Well, in 247, this one right here, 247 bar, it was in Philly as well, and it's been since closed down. And these are some of the pins and drink tokens from there. The Loft in Philadelphia is no longer there. The Cell Block in Philadelphia is no longer there. And I can't read this one upside down. 119 Merrimack. We've got Boston Ramrod pins across here. Here's one from the Sling. Here are two of the Herbie Ramrods buttons. Several more Sling buttons down here from different bars and stuff. These are mainly Chicago area. You got the Chicago Eagle. Got Gold Coast. Nice Gold Coast spelled out button. The Meat Market. JJ's Clubhouse, I think it says upside down in St. Louis. And just a few other miscellaneous bars that I wasn't quite sure where to place them at the time. I've got buttons from the Anvil, Rawhide in New York, Badlands. I got a Keller's button, which is extremely rare. Can't remember what this one is right offhand. I've also got the original lure button with a note that says this is the first, turn around where I can read it, the first original lure pin designed by Wally Wallace, and JP, what was his last name? JP Pawlowski or something like that, signed that and everything. I got it off of eBay, and then there's another lure pin here with the year 8 on it. I have some Baltimore Eagles and stuff. Got San Francisco Ramrod pins. I've got Casper's out on the West Coast. Got Spurs, the watering hole, no name bar. There's what we call the funky chicken, because we never could figure out where it came from, but it did come off of out of a collection of pins, you know, because sometimes I find them in batches and everything. We've got San Francisco Eagle, and we got the Camp and everything. Over here, the Wild Goose out in San Francisco, stud bar, the one-way, toolbox pins, arena pins. I've got 5 or 6 different Griff pins. This one's from the Woodshed. Down here are all my Phoebe's pins and buttons, including a drink token from Phoebe's and everything. So there's quite a few old ones in here. Old ones. The Roundup and the stud bar and everything out in San Francisco. A bunch of buttons there. On the Spike. This is Spike first anniversary. It's the 78. I've also got some tickets and everything for San Francisco events out in Spike. I got the black and blue bar. The Cuff up in Seattle. Several Johnny's handlebar pins. I got a Folsom Prison pin dated 1975. And another Folsom Prison. What else we got here? Tom Saloon, Hombre, the Galleon, Bear Hollow, the El Dorado Hotel in San Francisco. Tom Saloon. Here's another Folsom pin. These 2 pins here, I know came from Jeannie Barney. Jeannie Barney, as you know, was the first editor or drummer when it first came out. There was a famous event in which Jeannie was one of them that was arrested on the at the Black Pipe. They were having a slave auction there. But this button says the LAPD freed the slaves button, April the 10th, 1976. And this one says, remember the Black Pipe, with the same date. But those came from Jeannie Barney. and everything personally. I used to buy a lot of stuff from Jeannie. She was sold a lot of Larry Townsend memorabilia and everything. And then I have the Baltimore Eagle. And that's pretty much it on bar pins and everything that I've ran across over the years. So let's close this one up and go to the next one. Now this binder, I labeled it East because these are mostly East Coast pins. And these get very heavy. We got a bunch of Cycle MC buttons. This whole page is Cycle MC. Run pins, club pins, Fire Island, all that type of stuff. We got Mike's Men buttons. Here's a bear pin here. Trying to read these upside down is quite difficult. But a lot of Mike's Men, the bull. I have an Entrenuous friendship patch. Quite a few of these are Entrenuous. Scott Erickson would send me a lot of his duplicates that he ran across, so I could add it to the collection. So a lot of this is thank you to Scott Erickson. You got a lot of the run pins and stuff. Harbor Masters, Trash MC, Entrenuous. Over here we got Iron Cross out of Montreal. Equinox, event pin, Spearhead, lanyards out of Toronto. Northern Lights out of Montreal. Ottawa Nights. That's just hitting the highlights on some of these in here. Then we got some of the New York area, including Rochester Rounds, Link Up, Druids MC, the Pumpkin Push, Three Rivers, Border Riders, Fits Like a Glove, Empire MC, Levi Guild. Like I say, trying to read these upside down is quite hard. Trojans, Baron MC, Ravens, you know, just to name a few of them here. You got Griffin's LC in Western Massachusetts. You got Wanda's Winches. You got the Vikings MC, SMC and the Lost Angels. Sorry guys, this is just leather and lace. Just hard to read these upside down and point them out as we're going through. You got Spuds and Pegasus MC out of Pittsburgh, Pinsman, Philadelphia Motor Club. Spuds. This is from Rob Gruber, Long Island Spuds MC. Then moving on along, we got Minimore, we got KC Pioneers, 76ers, Tulsa, Tribe out of Detroit, Blue Max out of St. Louis, Gateway MC, KC Pioneers, Jersey Amazons, Chicago Hellfire, just to mention, you know, a few on that page. This is up here is Florida, and down here is Georgia. We got the Atlanta four-way, of course, Southeast Conference of Clubs. Down here, when Olympus was held there, we got Tar Heel Leather Club, Tennessee Griffins, Bluegrass Coats, the the Leatherman out of Atlanta. Got that. And these are Florida. This is Conquistadors, Thebans, the FFA, Fist Fuckers of America, Future Farmers of America, and there's a few other little synonyms for it. We got the Phoenix, Saber MC, I can't read that one. We got two Brothers MC pins, and Brothers MC was the first leather club in Jacksonville, Florida, where I'm at. These are extremely rare and everything, and I managed to find two of them. We got Florida Boys, my club, Code 12, and this, another Jacksonville club. It's now defunct, called Stilettos. Moving across a little bit, we got City Bikers patch out of Denver. These are City Biker pins, or smaller City Bikers. And then we got the Rocky Mountain out of Denver. Got the Mustang, Stampede. These are some Texas stuff. They had the Flying W, which was one of the first, or if not the only, very first women's leather in Texas, Dallas, Texas. I got a couple of those pins. I also have a patch and everything. I'll show you a little bit later. Got to know Texas Riders, Ambush. So these are specific Texas area. These are European, SPMC, the Knoll in Berlin, MSC Berlin. I can't read them upside down. Anyway, these are European buttons and everything that I've run across. In one of the collections that I bought, there was a invitation made up in leather, and this is the outside of it. When you open it up, the Warlords, it's an invitation to an event, then date, time, and place, and so on and so forth. And so I saved all of that and put it out here where it could be enjoyed and learned from. And that's it on the East Coast binder. Don't worry, there's only 4 more to go. Now moving on across to the other side of the world, out in California, these are all the California Cycleman and everything, CCMC. Quite a few of those run pins. I tell you what, the run pins back in the day, they were a lot more significant, or not significant, but decorative and everything, and what we see a lot nowadays. They're cut out and quite ornamental. We have got some, who is this? CSCMC, the Olympics. All of these are California clubs, different runs and things like that. COR, Bounded by Serenity, Pegasus. Like I say again, it's just so hard to try to read upside down on these. Got California Motor Club. We have got down here at the bottom, Pacific Coast Motorcycle Club. Got quite a few of those. Got some Blue Max beer runs and stuff from out in California. The Red Baron run. 76ers. Got quite a few 76ers pins. And some Blue Maxes and stuff. But quite a lot of run pins and everything from the West Coast from the different clubs. We got Oedipus here. Quite a few of these. All up in here. I got a leather and lace from out in San Francisco. I got the serpents, koalas, Caspers, Agila, and everything, all West Coast clubs. A lot of these are now defunct. This whole page is nothing but Argonaut pins and everything, and you see there's quite a few of them in here. Got Minsky's, Dates to Remember, San Francisco GDIs, Equinox, Buddy MC pins, and everything. But I want to point out these three specific pins. They are made out of leather with a safety pin on the back. They are from Hawks for their 11th Sabbath, and these came purchased through Jeannie Barney, but these came from the personal collection of Larry Townsend, as well as these three right here. He was a member of Hawks, and he was also a member of King Masters. And I've got two King Masters here, and they have a penny glued on the middle of those. And then here's another run, King Masters. But these, and this one down here, the Hawks, all came from Larry Townsend's personal collection, purchased through Jeannie Barney, who was handling a lot of his stuff. Got quite a few of the Constantine's pins, San Franciscans, including a friendship patch and a nameplate bar. All of these are San Franciscans. I do have a couple of the Zodiacs out of Vancouver. I got Cheaters MC, Boondocks Run, several of those. I had the Easter Run, Beer Bust, Monterey Dons, Winterfield meets and Springfield meets and things like that, run pins. You got the Night of Nights down here, which is a run pin from Knights of Malta. We have got Cycleman. One of the things that you'll see, especially some of the West Coast, is the clubs would join together to have a run. You know, it could be, this one here is the Rules MC and Interchain had a joint run. And so you'll see quite a few of those that have, you know, the joint names on them. San Andreas MC, I've got quite a few of these here. Got quite a few of the Lobach pins on here. And the Satyricons out of Las Vegas, I have some of those. Got Nevada Women in Leather, the ACLA pins, Alameda. I've got Phoenix. But it's a heavy binder. And these are all West Coast pins. Now this book is a little bit of everything. It's kind of miscellaneous. These all came through Richie Jackson out of New York, from the New York Eagle. All of these, I got 3, 4, 4, 10, 13, 13, 15, 26, 27, 28, 29, and I think that one's 22. Anniversary pins, several matchbooks. I have business cards, a friendship patch of the New York Eagle, and a little paper flyer and everything advertising a different event from New York Eagle. These are from the Spike. Saved a copy of the envelope that Richie sent me, and he sent me a letter down here. You have a $5 coupon from the Ramrod in New York. You have Spike business cards. And this right here is actually a pen. I know it's hard to see and everything with the glare, but it's an ink pen made like a spike, and it's got the spike written across it. It came from Richie Jackson's collection that he was selling off. This is some of the stuff from the Ramrod after the shooting there, or prior to the shooting. Here's a photograph of the door of the ramrod after the shooting. And I had Richie basically give me a little scenario of what happened and everything. You know, his version of it written right here. And then a ramrod card. Here's more ramrod stuff. These came from his personal vest, especially this one right here, the double R pen. But these two, I believe, came from his vest. There's a picture of Richie here. There's a picture of him behind the bar of the ramrod, a drink token, and everything. And this one right here, it says Jim Taylor with a phone number on it. If you flip it over, it's this. They call them trick cards. So they would hand out their phone numbers and so on and so forth. The last time this collection was out was at International Leather Serve Boy Boot Black down in Tampa, Florida. I believe it's somewhere around 2015, something like that. But all of a sudden I hear somebody go, "Oh my God, that's me, that's me." This is Tug Taylor. He couldn't believe I had one of his old trick cards and everything. He was freaking out. Again, the spike, this particular came from Richie Jackson's personal vest, and it is a spike, literally a spike pen. Matchbooks, little different trick cards and things like that, and spike buttons. This is CT. He was one of the owners of the Spike in New York. We got the Exile and different bath clubs, club baths and so on and so forth, different cards and all from those. Wall Street Sauna. These are the entrance cards. I used to have to buy membership cards and everything to the mine shaft, and that's what these are. As well as a membership rules. And this is just some business cards and things that I picked up, you know, along the way. And this one is quite unique right here. It's not a pen, but it's been in this collection. And this came from Richie Jackson. I don't know if you can see it, but it is a big Zippo lighter. It's got the ramrod on the front of it out in New York. Again, this came from Richie Jackson. And just different matchbooks that I ran across or were thrown in with pen collections and stuff that I purchased and stuff, you know, through here. And that finishes this little book. This is kind of a miscellaneous. It's probably different ones that I ran across that I was never able to identify. Some of them I could. Some of them pertain to the lifestyle. You got a acrylic type button here with a scorpion in it. Some of these I was able to identify, some of them I couldn't. But this one here says Brotherhood of Sissies. I always love that pen. I was trying to identify it to a club. Another difference. Age pens, you know, things like that. These are miscellaneous type pens that came off of vests and everything that were, you belonged to a Leatherman at some point. And the same thing here, you got, I believe that's Vancouver Bears. You got the March on Washington, handcuffs. There's a little unique button. And it's not a button, but it's like a token. It's got a square hole in the middle. And if you actually look close, you can see all types of different sexual positions on that pen there. It's quite unique. It's one of my favorites. One says, "I like leather." The sign for hand signals for "I love you." This is a little keychain thing, which is actually a little green penis. I can't flip it over. I think it's got bondage around the penis and stuff here. Different events, Mr. East Coast Leather, Rub Out. Some Emsel pens, a couple of No Drama pens. Mr. Connecticut leather, but a lot of these are different event pins and everything that I ran across. These are Miss World leathers up here. Drummer North America, Black Rose, SM Odyssey, Mama Reinhardt's pins, OSL. Again, trying to read these upside down is quite a daunting task, especially when your vision is going anyway. But American Brotherhood pins. There's one from American Leatherman, which is in Atlanta pin. ABW pins, Together in Leather, Self pins. These are some of the older IML buttons and everything. And then some miscellaneous is down in here. Coat, Boot Heel, Homosexual Agitator, Buck Up, Billy for Emperor, I support Motocross Foundation, I'm Indecent, I support Nikki versus Ashcroft, and so on and so forth. So kind of miscellaneous and event binder. And last but not least, this one is different patches. Some of these are fairly new, some are old. This, of course, you all should recognize. The Carter Johnson Library patch. Again, the back side of that. A couple of Minimore patches. I got Andromeda out of New Jersey, Mama Reinhardt, Blue Max, Philadelphians, Knights of Malta out of Seattle, Key West Wreckers, the Tradesman, and this is a very unique Tradesman in the fact that it's one of the very first Tradesman back patches and everything because it's made out of felt. You don't see them made out of felt any longer. So that one's pretty rare. Got Mid-Atlantic Leather Boy. This came from Boy Jake. Another Minimore. Two more Minimores. Got San Diego Boys of Leather, the CCMC, CSA, Florida Boys, Transcending Leather Corps, Southeast Conference of Clubs, CMC. This one, or these two are now defunct, and they're both Texas. This is a Dallas Area Levi Leather Association and everything. And the Flying W Motorcycle Club out of Dallas, Texas. Here's that patch out in San Francisco. The Cougar belonged to this club.
Because I looked at it and go, Fire Dancers? No.
No, it's T something. I can't remember the name of it. Got a Windy City. We got some Miss World leather patches here. Nevada Women in Leather, Florida Boys, Key West Record, another Minimore. My Club Code 12, Women of Drummer, the Cone, which is a European Blade, Gold Coast, Readout, The Lure, New York City, the Rec Room in Milwaukee, A Taste of Leather in San Francisco, Stallion, a couple more Miss World, Entre Nous, Mid-Atlantic. This one right here is the Fountain is one of the first leather clubs in North Carolina called Duke's MC. That is very, very rare. And Mid-Atlantic, and last but not least, Tar Heel Leather Club. So this was part of my obsessive compulsive disorder, and as you see, it grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And then I finally ran out of money and had stopped buying. Anyway, that wraps up my part of it. Vi, you want to add anything?
When in talking about colors, Quick Squirrel, one of the original colors projects that was launched for the archives back easily in the 90s. Was started by a man named George Cameron, out of Vancouver. George became ill and the project sort of waned, but he had started off trying to collect all of the club colors for the defunct clubs. And as I said, this is going back 20 to 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, thinking about club colors and remembering the clubs, whether they exist now or not, it has been said, and you may or may not agree with it, that there are only two people who are absolute experts on club colors. One is Gail Rubin and the other one is you.
Oh, Lord. And I've probably gotten more than I've learned over
Have
the
you
years.
ever thought about working with Gail to do a documentary using this amazing collection? To document and to do a documentary on the club colors before the history of these clubs gets forgotten.
I've never thought about it.
I was
I
just
guess we
wondering,
could.
because just sitting here now and listening to you, many of the colors themselves people would recognize, but not necessarily remember the names of the clubs. The same thing with a lot of the bars, because while they were our watering holes, and the library has a tremendous collection of bar posters, because they were the places where we met.
Mm-hmm.
Half of those bars don't exist anymore.
No. One of the things with the Colors of Leather website, and I've actually still got, Vi's got the only other copy, or Char has it now because she's trying to convert it over to modern technology. What happened is, as I started doing this, I originally started the Colors of Leather in a Microsoft Word document. And I started with Tony's timeline, and as I was going through, you know, I got more curious, so I Googled. And if I found a picture or a reference or a magazine cover or something, I would just copy it and insert it in that Microsoft Word document. And that's, I had read over Tony's timeline a couple of times, and when it got to the part about Jeannie Barney being the first editor of Drummer, me and Jeannie had actually started emailing back and forth, but her handle on eBay was Hollywood Cat Lady. So once she sent me an email and I realized it said Jeannie Barney at the top, one day I cut and pasted that section out of Tony's timeline and I emailed it back to her. I said, would this happen to be you? And I'll never forget her reply when she, you know, opened it up and says, hell yeah, I thought you knew that. And I never put it together until that day. And me and Jeannie, I mean, I've talked on the phone with hours to her, and I learned tons of stuff through her and everything. But as I was going through different publications, looking through them, old leather journals, old magazines, advertisements, and so on and so forth, I put together spreadsheets on different events that I knew existed, the year it existed. If I found out the year that it no longer existed, I put it listed as defunct. I did the same thing for different clubs, different bars, including bath clubs and so on and so forth. And those spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets, are massive. They're probably 30 pages a piece and everything. And sometimes somebody will post a picture of a pen. Anybody have an idea of what club this is? Well, sometimes I can get just enough information to go back to those spreadsheets I've got and figure out which club it was. If it was still in existence, when it went defunct, if I was able to run across that at any point during my research and add it to that spreadsheet, I know when it started, know when it ceased to exist. But there's so many out there that you never know, because all of a sudden they just drop off the face of the earth. They're never mentioned again, and you don't know what happened to them. Even with what I've found, I'm sure there are thousands out there that I never found, you know, that existed, especially older clubs. And also, it takes a lot of work and effort just trying to keep up with it, trying to go to look and see, do I have this date? Find out, yes, and you've done it 18 times, but you never remember, and you always have to go back and look. And then all of a sudden, here's one that you don't have, and you key it in there, and you know, save it and everything. But if Char is able to get the original website, which was originally created on a program called Front Page. Front Page is one of those do what you see is what you get type software programs. I know nothing about any of that, but using that program that BJ had given me, and she showed me just enough to be able to get me started on it, I was able to create the colors of leather using Front Page. And then quite a few years later, we're notified that the servers out there will no longer support Front Page. So thus, it was antiquated. It's like trying to stick an 8-track in a DVD player right now. It just ain't gonna work. So that's where we were, and that's where the website went. But it's still intact. You just have to be able to view it. And Char has been searching for different programs that would convert that database that I've got into something that can be put up. And she's made some progress on it. And you know, it's going to be a lot of work because that website was huge, you know. And I tried to keep up with what was on the website and made sure it was also on the spreadsheets. Can't say I always succeeded on that, but I referred back to those spreadsheets quite a few times on different events, different clubs, you know, where they were, and so on and so forth. And, you know, if I knew the founding members or any notes or anything like that, I would add to it. But I mean, I went through drummer magazines, leather journals, all kinds of old publications I could find, you know, just trying to pick out dates and names and bars and events and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, but it's a very good start if someone can pick it up, you know, at some point in time, because me and Vi are not going to be around forever, unfortunately, you know, to continue this. And one of the things that I was doing with Tony's timeline is I was going back in and things after his death and everything, after he quit taking, updating it and everything, I was plugging in different events and things like that. And I was also trying to incorporate not just gay leather history and everything in that, but I was trying to add the pansexual into that, the het side of the lifestyle. You know, so it was all inclusive instead of just geared towards the, you know, gay population and everything. So it grew and grew, and, you know, what can I say? You know, it was a monster. There's tons of stuff there. I don't envy Char at all. But supposedly she's going to have it set up to where I can go in and add stuff as I run across it and everything. So that would be nice, you know, try to do some stuff like that. I think I'm done talking now, bye.
And the library is actually pleased to have helped set that up. But we're even more pleased to bring it into a new technical era and be able to give it back to you so that you can keep working on your baby.
Good deal. Can't wait to see it alive again.
Soon. Actually, you know, the rough one is up.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah. But I'm looking for all the pins and buttons.
She's tweaking
and
it and adding the imagery and
all that type stuff. I mean, just on the timeline, I did notice there's a picture of one book and it ain't the book that's listed. It's like, oh, that's got to be fixed.
And you two have some work cut out for you, but it's coming back. And it's coming back for a brand new generation.
Good, good.
So, for now, Gwen's story, and we're going to be putting up a way for you to contact Gwen so that she can tell you more personally.
If I can remember it. Chemo has done a lot to my brain. Just remember that.
Trust me, she's forgotten more than I remember, and I remember a lot. So, all you need to do next, Jens, is jog her brain. There's a lot of knowledge there. Until then, see you in the library.
Bye-bye.